It's time to head to the fun division of this group, and that's the North. And let's not waste any time. Let's just get into the one we're waiting for. The Cleveland Browns, starting things off by trading back to pick number 5, foregoing the Travis Hunter sweepstakes to go with Mason Graham, Carson Schweisinger, Quinshon Junkins, Harold Fannin, Dylan Gabriel, Dylan Sampson, a quarterback from Colorado known as Shedeur Sanders to round things out. Kelsey, how do we feel about this chaotic draft?
All right, so let's start with the elephant in the room here of Mason Graham. The fact
Literally.
that Browns fans are so angry that they traded back for this and didn't take Travis Hunter, stop it. Because this is the best move for Cleveland in a front office that's already dealing with enough issues, a coach that's already dealing with enough issues. They don't need to have the issue of, not that Travis Hunter is an issue, the issue with Travis Hunter playing both sides is the issue. They don't need to have that worry in the back of their heads at any point in time right now. They need a safe pick to go alongside Myles Garrett, and that's exactly what they did. Mason Graham is a very talented defensive tackle, and if everything goes well, barring a major injury, he should be a solid and above average 10 to 15 year starter in the NFL, and depending on, again, health-wise. So absolutely home run hit. Carson Schweisinger, I don't love that pick. Be honest. I don't love it. Quinshon Junkins, I don't think he was the best running back out of Ohio State, but you know what? He fits. That's all that matters. Harold Fannin Jr., I think, is an interesting pick because do they really need another tight end? No. They got David Njoku, but at the same time, man, what Harold Fannin Jr. can do when he's running downfield is impressive. And then the real elephant in the room, the quarterback situation. I love it. Just take as many quarterbacks as you can when you have so many questionable quarterbacks in your quarterback room already, and let's just figure it out like the Spartans used to and fight it out on the field and see what happens. See who's left by the end of the day. First of all, for Shedeur, this is the ultimate prove it point. Can you prove that you're going to be that dude? All that said, the Browns, to me, this is an A draft because you set yourself to be the most competitive on the field, on the practice days, and in game days. By the way, you drafted to be competitive because you're going to breed competitiveness from day one in all of your in all the rooms in the building. So yeah, give me an A for the Browns on this one.
I gotta say, I like every pick in this draft, honestly. There's not one of these I look at and I don't like. Besides the Dylan Gabriel pick in round 3, I don't love that pick there, honestly. I don't.
That's fair.
Dylan Gabriel's fine, but I don't think he should have been a third round pick. That's just my thoughts, honestly. Especially because they went up to get him. Like they didn't, maybe they didn't go up to get him, but like with your second, third round pick, he's kind of small, doesn't do anything kind of elite. You mentioned it's already a crowded room. Now I guess you can trade one of them. Like if somebody gets banged up in training camp and a team calls you, you're like, all right, I got the goods. And I'm including the fact that you traded to get a first-round pick next year. So part of that Mason Graham deal wasn't just, oh, you took Mason Graham at 5. Yeah. It was, oh, you got Mason Graham and a pick next year. I think that's huge. Carson makes sense because, especially with JOK's health, we don't know what's going on there. You need to help that linebacker room. I love Quinshon Junkins. That is Kareem Hunt. Gives that running back room a little bit of a kick that they need. Harold Fannin's nice. I like every single pick. Dylan Sampson's got that next year. Yeah. Because of Dylan Gabriel, and I think Mason Graham at 5 is a good pick, but you did forego Travis Hunter in theory. I also wonder what it'd been like if they took Ashton Genty at pick 5 to be the new Nick Chubb. That could have mixed things up and be real interesting. You can give him a B because you picked on the top 5. You were picking number 2, and you technically didn't get, quote unquote, the true blue chipper. But at the same time, you had great picks across the board. There's no real hate here. This is more or less, I'm not giving everybody an A. I'm going to be stingy with the A's today. So honestly, like I said, almost every single pick I like Dylan Sampson around 4 is still insane. If Shedeur pans out as well as he was thought to by a lot of people a few weeks ago, yeah, they'll be cooking like that. They'll be cooking. So we're gonna go from Cleveland. We're gonna stay in Ohio, but just barely. Head to Cincinnati, led by Shamar Stewart, Demetrius Knight Jr., Dylan Fairchild, Barrett Carter, Jalen Rivers, and Taj Brooks. So a short draft, but was it an effective one?
Yeah, no, I'm gonna go with no. This is going to be my worst grade, second worst grade of the draft. Maybe third worst grade of the draft. Depends on where they weigh him. And this is, by the way, I need to say this before I do it. That's coming with a guy who has Joe Burrow jersey in the back behind me. So I do like Joe Burrow. I do love their offense. But this draft sucked after Shamar Stewart. Like, you could have done so much more, and it is like they didn't even try, it feels like. I don't mind the Demetrius Knight pick, but really? We've already seen guys that were drafted after him in that position that could have been more impactful day one. Demetrius Knight is just a project player, and I don't think that's what you need if you're the Bengals on that defensive side. You need guys ready to start today, and they didn't really do anything that can do that. So, yeah, they're going to get a D for me. The Bengals are. Not great.
Interesting. All right. So you're at the lowest grade we've given out so far. And you know what? I can't have that. I'm giving them an F. I love Shamar Stewart, but not to the Bengals.
Yeah.
He is so freakishly gifted. Maybe he can pick up from Trey Hendrickson. They still got to figure that out. My worry is he's going to end up being the Trey Hendrickson replacement if they don't figure
Yeah.
that contract out. He needs to play alongside. I think Shamar Stewart has an incredible ceiling, but he doesn't have the production, so you're kind of banking on potential there. Which, if you do that and you have the Bengals' defensive deficiencies, yikes. And there is no secondary players in this draft anywhere. There is not one secondary player. I don't love that. I like that you put some in the offensive line, a couple linebackers. That's good. But they needed secondary help and they didn't address that. So I'm going to give them an F. However, if Shamar Stewart hits that potential, that jumps it up to a D or a C automatically. But I'm worried they're going to use him as the Trey Hendrickson replacement, not to play alongside. I hope I'm wrong. I really hope I'm wrong. But I'm worried with Cincinnati. So next we're going to move up the AFC North board. Let's go ahead and head to the Pittsburgh Steelers, who they definitely surprised a little bit on round one, taking Derek Harmon, defensive tackle out of Oregon, followed by Caleb Johnson from Iowa, Jack Sawyer, Yana Black, Will Howard, Carson Bruner, and Dante Kent. So a unique combination of players that I don't think most of us saw coming.
No, I didn't see a lot of these coming, but I'll say it wasn't bad. It felt like there was maybe a reach at a couple of these spots, but realistically, after the third round pick of Caleb Johnson, I didn't have any problem with any of the other picks. I thought Jack Sawyer was a value pick in the fourth round. I thought that was a good pick. Via Black, honestly, I didn't hate it. I think you probably could have waited to get him, but really, you're picking him at pick 28 in the fifth round. I mean, all right. Will Howard, I didn't love him as a quarterback. We've all heard my complaints. He's so hot and cold. I don't know if he can be an NFL quarterback, but you have questions at quarterback going forward in the future. So potentially, yeah, that's your long-term solution. And if that works out in the sixth round pick, great job. All that to say, to me, it's a B draft. It's kind of the same as their Mike Tomlin has yet to fall under 500 in a season situation. Like, yeah, but some of those seasons kind of weren't great. This is kind of how this draft feels. So give me a B.
You were friendly about it. I love Derek Harmon. This was about the right spot for him, too, in pick 21. Caleb Johnson, that was probably about the right spot for him as a running back, too. Jack Sawyer, I thought was a little bit high. He's good, but I think he was a little bit later in the draft. Will Howard, I have the same thoughts on you. When you have as many quarterback questions as they have, it can't be Mason Rudolph and Will Howard. They better know Aaron Rodgers is right around the corner. Otherwise, the fact that they waited that long to even look at it, I'm giving it a C. It was another Mike Tomlin draft of this will keep us just afloat to where we won't hit mediocrity, which in theory is great. But at the same time, you are kicking the can down the road, and that can's going to run into a freight truck at any moment now. And I like Derek Harmon. I think he's going to be awesome. I think that's an outstanding pick. He's a top 25-ish player in the draft. After that, they all made sense where they were picked as far as like their grades, I guess. But at the same time, like, what are we doing? If you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, what are we doing?
Did you hear the story with Derek Harmon?
Which one?
After the draft, celebrates with his mom, and then unfortunately she passes away after that. Like, that's so sad. Congratulations, Derek Harmon, and I'm so sorry you have to go through that. That is such a terrible situation on the greatest day of your life.
Absolutely, like all the thoughts, prayers, and everything are with him and his family too. Like that's very sad to have to go through that. Like such an emotional roller coaster in like a 24-hour span for sure.
And he's done everything, did everything to get himself for NFL ready, and finally gets to do it. Finally got to show his mom that it happened, and I mean it's so unfortunate. I read that story and I gotta say I teared up a lot after that one. I'm still tearing up thinking about it.